down to our next video, which is multiplying terms. And last time we were doing adding and subtraction. Today we focus on multiplying, okay? And we'll start with multiplying two terms. Okay, so look at the first one. So we have 2d multiplied by 4. And as you know, if we have two brackets, that means multiplication, okay? So for multiplication, we will be using brackets, not x. X is a letter in algebra, so x doesn't stands for multiplication anymore. It's not a symbol for multiplication, it's just a letter, okay? As D, A, Z. So again, if you have two brackets, that means you need to multiply it, okay? So we need to multiply 2d by 4. So what's the rule? In algebra, we can only multiply number by number and letter by letter, okay? So we can only multiply 2 multiplied by 4, so we can just write it down as I did here and multiply it by d. Okay, so 2 multiplied by 4 is 8 and d. So we have 8d. And this is the answer for the first question. The next one, we have 5a multiplied by 2a. And you know that 5a means 5 multiplied by a. And the same, we can change the order, okay? Swap the order. So we can write down 2 multiplied by 5 or 5 multiplied by 2 and a multiplied by a. So number by number, letter by letter, okay? And 5 by 2 is 10. A multiplied by a is 8a squared, okay? Remember, a multiplied by a is a squared, and a plus a, so apple plus apple, and this is 2 apples, okay? If we have a multiplied by a multiplied by a, we have a to the power of 3 and so on. So bear in mind, when we multiply and we have the same base, okay, we can just add the powers. A means this is a to the power of 1 and a to the power of 1. 1, 1, and 1. So we have the same base. What is a? So we can simply just add the powers, okay? 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And this is another rule. We're going to write it down in a minute. But first, let's finish the last question here. What is 4x zx multiplied by 3z? Letter by letter, number by number, okay? So we can write it down as 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by z multiplied by z and multiplied by x, okay? So 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. Z multiplied by z is z squared and x. That's it. Okay, so take it down into your copies, please. Now let's try to multiply terms with different signs, okay? So, and here we have 5a multiplied by minus 3. So positive multiplied by negative is negative, yeah? So we have number by number, letter by letter. So 5 multiplied by minus 3 is minus 15a. Okay, and look at the next example here. So we have 4 multiplied by minus 2, the same letter by letter, number by number. So we have 4 multiplied by minus 2 multiplied by x and multiplied by x. So 4 multiplied by minus 2 gives us minus 8, and 8 x multiplied by x is x squared. Okay, so take it down into your copy, please. Okay, now let's try to multiply terms with different powers. So we have the same base, as you can notice here. So we have a to the power of 2 and a to the power of 3, and let's try to multiply it. Okay, so we know that a to the power of 2 is a multiplied by a, and a to the power of 3 is 8 by 8 by 8. So as we said before, and using rule number 4, if we have the same base, we can add the powers. So this is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so we have a to the power of 5. So 2 plus 3 is 5. And we can only do it when we have multiplication and we have the same base. Okay, add the powers. And the next one is minus 2a squared multiplied by minus 3a to the power of 3. So letter by letter and number by number. Okay, so let's start with minus 2 multiplied by minus 3, a squared multiplied by a to the power of 3. Okay, so minus 2 multiplied by minus 3 is 6, and a to the power of 2 multiplied by a to the power of 3, so we have the same base, we can add the powers, and this is a to the power of 5. Okay, take it down, please. And let's try the last question here. It's minus 2a squared and all of it to the power of 3. Okay, so we need to break it down. Don't give me just the answer, we need to show our workings. So the bracket is to the power of 3, so let's write it down. Minus 2a squared multiplied by minus 2a squared multiplied by minus 2a squared. Okay, the bracket is to the power of 3. Okay, so we need to multiply it by itself 3 times. Okay, and now number by number, letter by letter. Minus 2 by minus 2 by minus 2 is minus 8, and now we have a squared multiplied by a squared multiplied by a squared using our rule number 4. The same base, we can add the power, so 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. We have 8, a to the power of 6. And now multiplying 3 terms. So we've started multiplying 3 terms in the last slide. Now we have a and b and numbers. So we need to multiply minus 4ab by 4ab by minus 2a squared. So what's the rule? Number by number, letter by letter. Okay, so first of all the numbers. Minus 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by minus 2. So we have negative by positive by negative. The answer is positive. And it is 16. Then we have a multiplied by a multiplied by a squared. So a by a by a squared. If we have just a, that's a to the power of 1. We have the same base. We can use rule number 4, so we can add the powers. Okay, so this is a to the power of 4. And then the last thing in here, we have b multiplied by b. And b multiplied by b is b squared. Okay? So for your homework, try to do these simple questions, okay? And take down all the examples and rules. Learn the rules by heart. I will be checking it tomorrow. And you need to remember when you multiply the terms, you need to multiply number by number, letter by letter. If you multiplying terms that have the same letter, you can add the powers, okay? See you tomorrow.